You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Come here for a minute. I want to talk to you. Mama says your brain dead, bang your head against the wall.
Bang, 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 bang.
Can't find peace of mind, brain needs an overhaul. Bonehead, brain dead, we're all the same. You can't think straight when your heart is in pain. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay your burden down.
The views expressed on this broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show are those of the co-host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of our affiliates. The topics and opinions on today's show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Take 12 Radio is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here's your host,
The man, the myth, the legend.
the Monty Man.
I'm telling you the truth, man, I
Ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't lie to you, Tony, I promise.
No.
good guys, bad boys.
We're all the same. Saved by grace is the name of the game. Turn around, hit the ground. Time to lay your burden down. Lay it down, Tony. Lay it down right there.
I'm laying it right now.
Are you? Are you?
No. Well,
Welcome to the Take 12 Giggle a Lot Show. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Tony.
good morning.
Tony's here. Marv's here.
I am.
Jennifer's here.
Good morning.
And we have a special guest in the studio. Brandon is here.
Hello.
Brandon is an intern out at the Adult and Teen Challenge Center in Shed, Oregon. I know some of you are saying, I don't know where Shed is.
Shed?
Nobody knows.
Where is Shed?
Nobody knows. We can't find it. It's a vortex someplace, and it just kind of, you get out about a mile from there, and your car disappears into the fog or the dust.
It's dust
Right.
right now, but fortunately we had a little rain today. So
Right.
it
Yeah,
settled
that's
the
nice.
dust.
Now it's mud.
So welcome to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, and this show is actually, we've talked about it a couple times, actually has a title to this particular show because we do several shows on this station. This one's called The Great Reality. We never refer to it that way much, but there it is. The Great Reality is just this, that we have, I'm paraphrasing here, we now have a host of friends, and there you go. I can't remember the rest of it offhand. It's in the big book. Everything's in the big book, except for do not eat hemlock. That's not in the big book.
What's hemlock?
It's a poisonous
Don't
plant.
eat it. Don't eat it.
So when people say, well, it's not in the big book, well, it doesn't say don't eat hemlock, but you probably should follow that direction and not eat hemlock.
Probably not eat it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So the topic this week is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. In reference to what some people, when they're kind of in a nasty mood, may call recovery thieves. These are people that come into 12-step support meetings and hang out for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they vanish. And it isn't necessarily because they relapsed. Maybe they just stopped coming. But then every year they come get their coin, but they don't come back. Or maybe they're there, but you don't know they're there because they don't participate at all. They just show up and they kind of blend in with the background. And you say, hey, did you hear what Joe said? Joe spoke? So there's that. And so most of us have had experience of coming in and then maybe not being in a while. And anyway, we're going to talk about that and talk about what your take on that is. And I know Marv has brought up before, people that just kind of leave because they're, got a resentment and, well, AA's watered down. I'm not going back there. It's watered down. And so we've talked about being the change you want to see in other people. You be the change. So maybe that's not a valid reason to leave. We're going to talk more about that. But Anyway, welcome, Brandon, to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So, a little history on Brandon. He came in. When did you come in?
July last year.
July last year.
Yep.
And I was education coordinator, and I was his counselor. Was I your counselor?
Yeah, you
Yes.
also did my intake, everything.
Oh, yeah, I did all that stuff. Yeah. We searched you thoroughly.
Background check and all.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I was thinking.
I know, I'm kidding.
So anyway, it's good to see you, and you're rocking it. You've grown so much, and
Yeah, I was a mess.
He's a beautiful asset out at TC.
Oh, thank you again.
yeah, you are. You are. And just so you know, and I'll say this once, for danger of you not being able to fit your head through the door, you are highly respected out there.
Oh,
sir.
thank you. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
You get that one time.
Okay.
If you want it again, you have
Never
to pay
again.
me.
Or rewind the show.
Denver, move your mic up a little bit. There you go.
Move it, kid.
It starts to move. Oh, my goodness sakes. All right. So,
Stop right there.
okay.
It's time for Monty Man's Weekly Wine.
Baby, you're home.
Okay. So, does anybody have anything to whine about?
Way too much.
Choose one. Come on.
Really?
Yeah.
You want me to whine about this?
Denver, you never whine.
I try not.
He's got so many. He just
I-
knows it's a whole show if he does.
It overwhelms me. Seriously.
Just do one.
All right. So I have this dentist appointment, right?
Yes.
That's been set up for a little bit, and I'm getting my teeth all pulled out. Yesterday, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday. I get a phone call saying I need to go by and see my doctor at 8 for a release. My primary.
Right.
A release to get my teeth pulled at Gentle Dental. Mind you, they're doing a wonderful job, I hope.
Yeah, let's hope that.
yeah.
Stand behind your
At
name.
9, but my doctor's appointment's at 8. So it's really pushing my envelope. Why didn't everybody have this lined up before?
Right.
I mean, this has been in the order. And Gentle Dental said, oh, we sent that release over, but it didn't get sent back yet. So you have to make sure that you go over and get that taken care of tomorrow. So I'm in a hustle now to get this taken care of. And I said, you do realize there's a real good chance I'm going to be late to this dental extraction at 9. Mm-hmm. So they said, no problem. But
See,
it's kind of a problem.
This kind of falls in that category of who is the person or persons that sit around and say, let's inconvenience everyone.
Who should be ramrodding this show?
Right.
You know?
It's like when you go to a doctor's office and then they ask you for your medical history and you give it, you write it all out, and then you go into another room down the hall and they ask you for it again. And I go, can't you just bring it up on the computer?
Yeah.
Well, we need to have you fill this out. And then you go to the hospital to check in for whatever it is, and they don't have it. It's like,
You guys should be linked up.
this is
right?
This is like, way in the future versus
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
But it's like the DMV. You would think in the year 2018 you could do a little better.
Anyways.
So that's understandable.
I'm anxious about tomorrow, and I hope everything rolls well.
Oh, that's tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be toothless soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be chauffeuring him around and laughing at him while he's all
gacked out on gas.
Gotta
It's
have the
worth it,
gas,
though.
though.
See, Brenda, we like to do weekly wine because we figure if we get out our whining now, then we can have a better week the rest of the week. Of course, Denver won't be able to do anything the rest of the week.
So you only have 24 hours to get this all done?
Yeah, they're going to take all 20...
No, I mean like the referral thing. They gave you that time limit to get all that done?
They gave me tomorrow morning,
Oh
1
my
hour
gosh.
before I show up to Gentle Dental. Yeah. It threw me for a loop. I'm going, really? I thought maybe we had all this in order.
Yeah, right.
We should have, maybe.
So is Gentle Dental kind of like saying jumbo shrimp?
Right. Oxymoron.
Have you ever had a gentle experience at the dental office, Marv?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
I don't like
Shut
them.
up.
I don't either.
All of
I
you.
actually, I
Shut
really
up.
love my dentist.
Get out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
Eye shots. Teeth extraction, eye shots. It's just
You know,
it
I
just
would rather
gets
have
better.
eye shots than all my teeth pulled. Mm-mm.
It's an adventure. All right. Anybody have anything to whine about? Marv, you got anything to
No, I'm good.
gripe, whine, complain? Tony?
Besides somebody showing up at my door at 4 a.m., I'm good.
Yeah, 4 a.m. You get a knock on your door. That's always pleasant. Brandon, are you good?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. Well, I know.
After that, he's all good.
Until the next show, then you'll whine.
So I'm whining about this because I don't get to break policy. And why do they get to break policy and I don't get to break policy? So it's kind of a personal my own problem. But I'm going to whine about it anyway.
Is this a resentment?
It could be.
Oh, okay.
And it's not. I wouldn't say break the law because I don't know that it's illegal what's happening here. But you know when you go to the movie theater, there's a sign. There's several signs. It says no outside food or beverage allowed. That means Fred, Joe, Pete, Sally, Nancy, and all the rest of you, whoever you are. That means you don't go to your local convenience store and pack your pockets with candy and food and sneak them in. Now, if it's beer, you can do that. I mean, I did that for years. Sit in the movie theater and then go, so nobody to hear me open the can, I go, and pop the can open, right?
Wow. You did that?
Oh, of course. So then we had to switch to hard liquor because it doesn't make any sound.
Yeah. It's not carbonated.
But the Coke cup
just put the straw
that
in
you
there.
get at the concession, it's that waxy stuff, and rum
that
will
melts.
melt it.
That melts.
Was it really?
So you got to drink
Oh, yeah.
it fast.
Oh, yeah.
What?
You'll wear it. If you don't drink it, you'll wear it.
But then when you grow up and you get sober and you're obeying the law and you're obeying policies, hopefully one of the things you're doing is not sneaking food into the theater. Now, is it overpriced? Yes. So eat before you go. But it just irritates me. I'm sitting there waiting for the movie to start, and all I can hear is candy wrappers being... And I saw these people come in, and they did not go to the concession stand. And there's Hostess cupcake wrappers flying. There's all this stuff. I'm like, well, you sneaky little dogs.
Didn't you
You
whine
need
about
to
this
let that
not
go,
too long
Monty.
ago?
You need to let
Well,
that
I can let
go.
it go now, but I had to whine about it today. What?
Didn't you whine about this not too long ago?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. Maybe I haven't let it go. Oh, no.
You need to let it go.
I think that was about the parking at the
Oh,
movie
that's right.
theater.
That's right. The parking.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
The handicap parking.
The handicap
Or
parking
you're a
spot
mile down the road.
is right in front,
Good job, Mark.
but then the movie theater that you're going to is a mile down the hallway. Every single time. It's like they see you coming and switch cameras.
You go to the movies a lot then.
Yeah, he does. A lot.
Now we know.
Yeah. Well, I binge movie. Binge movie? Yeah. Yeah, so when I go a lot, and then I don't go for a while. But anyway, and that's really the only thing I have to complain about this week, which isn't a whole lot. So it's good when you have to think hard on what to complain about.
Amen.
Yeah, right? So, of course, to follow that up, we have to have this. Yay! We got to have a weekly win, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. So can you guess what it is, Denver?
You getting your teeth pulled.
No, that's not
okay.
it.
That's not it.
Now, he'll have a win when he gets his dentures
Yeah.
and all that
Okay,
stuff.
yeah,
He'll
then
be-
we'll
When,
win.
when I have a new smile, I'll have
Okay.
a win.
Okay, so on the 15th of this month,
That's right.
on the 15th of this month is the day last year that I took an early retirement from my job at the Adult and Teen Challenge Center. On the 1st of, no, it was 15th of September, I'm sorry. On the 1st of September of this month, and we're hoping and praying that it all goes through, I will officially be back at that job
Yay.
at the Adult and Teen Challenge Center as the education coordinator. And say that again, Brandon. That sounded-
Yay.
I didn't
I'm
recognize the
excited
voice.
about
I was
that.
like, who is that?
One more time. One more
I'm
time.
excited about it. Yay.
Yay! Now, everybody.
Yay!
Oh, my ego is my amigo.
Oh, I like that.
I didn't know till they were talking to me like I had missed a memo or something. I was like, yeah. Well, when Monty gets here, and I was like, what? For what? Like, yeah. It's like, oh, Monty's coming back. Wow. I had no idea. That's awesome.
So I'm
I was
excited.
super happy to hear that.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
And your AA birthday's around this time, isn't it?
It is September 2nd. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a win.
So, how many years?
Quick, 21. Quick. Oh, I can drink again.
You're 21. You can drink again.
Quick, somebody bake a cake.
A rum cake. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. It's hard to, well, it gets easier to believe as years go by, but there's a part of me still, it's like I haven't had a drop of alcohol for 21 years.
Amazing.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
awesome.
That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
But it isn't weird. It isn't as weird. It used to be really weird, and now it's just normal, I guess, but I don't know.
It's a little celebration, though.
Yeah. So anyway, the Teen Challenge job is back. I tried to fit into the brand new Teen Challenge T-shirts I bought last year at Spiritual Emphasis, and I couldn't get in them. I'm like, well, I'm gonna need to drop a few pounds. So there's that. We're gonna take a short break. When we come back, the topic: now you see me, now you don't. Don't go away.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
You're listening to the world's original recovery talk and positive music radio program, the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show on KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Hey, did you know that September is officially National Recovery Month? That's right. So I want you to join us on September 7th at Marion Square Park in Salem, Oregon from 2 to 7 p.m. Why? Well, it's Hands Across the Bridge. The theme, building bridges, and the admission is free. Come join the celebration. We're going to have a DJ, we're going to have live music, food, games, and a whole lot more. This is the 12th annual Hands Across the Bridge, and during the main event, attendees will walk over the Marion Street Bridge to honor those in recovery and to remember those lost to addictions and mental health challenges in the past year. When? Hands Across the Bridge, Building Bridges, September 7th, Marion Square Park in Salem from 2 to 7 p.m. Remember, the admission is free, and there's going to be a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of building bridges. 2018 Hands Across the Bridge is organized by Marion Polk Peer Coalition and sponsored in part by Take 12 Recovery Radio. Well, welcome back to the show. You tuned into the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. For those of you listening on Podomatic, if you haven't visited our main website, it is www.take12radio.com. And there you can access our show on many different formats, WordPress, YouTube, LinkedIn, Podomatic, iTunes, all that stuff. You can download our app as well and take our show with you. The topic this week is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. And in reference to folks that may show up for... Well, let me preface this by saying this. The people that do not fall into this category for this topic would be people that have really obviously valid reasons why they don't make every meeting or make every Sunday church service. That'd be some people that are struggling with illness. Like in your case, Tony, you've been kind of struggling with some things going on, and so you're not always able to walk through the doors of places that you would like to be because you haven't been feeling well. And I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about people that have total ability to participate in something that's healthy for them, and they play tag. They go in and maybe they'll show up for a meeting once in a while, and then all week long they've got a weekly wine that lasts all week, and they don't. You're like, well, nobody wants to be my friend. Well, be a friend. Show up. There are people and I hear this. I hear people get very upset sometimes to the point where they get a resentment. They'll say, "Oh, there's Fred. He's showing up for his once a year chip to get his chip, and then you never see him again." And people will get irritated about that to the point where I think they're maybe letting it get to them a little too much. That's Fred's deal. Shouldn't bother you that much, but it does sometimes. And so I will be the first to admit that I have done this before. I have gone somewhere and because of a resentment, or I just kind of got out of the swing of doing it. Maybe I was sick and then I just didn't feel like going, and I got tired, or I got too busy, and this happened to me years ago in relationship to going to church. I just kind of stopped going, and it became easier not to go, and it kind of got away from me. My wife went through that when her parents, after she graduated from high school, her parents moved out of state, and she stayed, and she kind of stopped going because she always went with them. Well, people will do this with 12-step meetings and support meetings too. And so now in the world of recovery, we have a lot of different recovery-focused organizations, many of which are 12-step based. Some are not. But this happens in our fellowships. So it's like, what happened to Fred? What happened to Julie? I mean, they were going. We saw them every week. What happened? Of course, the assumption a lot of people make, which isn't really fair, but a lot of people say, oh, they went back out. Mm-hmm. Or, well, maybe they didn't go back out. We don't know, or one that I've been guilty of. Well, I guess they're well. It will be kind of sarcastic like that. But so what's your take on this? You guys, what do you think about it? Have you ever fallen into this yourself? So I'm going to start with Denver.
Oh boy, howdy! You would,
Marv. You're on deck. By the way,
be thinking about this, yeah, because I'm gonna probably just chime a little bit and then think about more. But I think sometimes we take inventory of others that disappear. And we don't know their life circumstance. We don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean that they're out using.
Maybe they got a job somewhere out of town.
It just means that something is occupying their time, because time, it consumes us. You get a new job, like you said.
Yeah.
You got health issues, whatever. Family. Yeah, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
So from that aspect, we take inventory going, oh, they're using again, or they've disappeared off the map.
Or they don't care.
Yeah. And I've disappeared. And seriously, I have a close group of friends that if I disappear too far, then there's probably reason to find me.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
If I get too far out, then, but I'm always within contact.
Right.
So, don't get too quick to inventory somebody because they disappear. Life gets busy.
So don't make an assumption.
Do not assume
of
that
one thing or another.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not our job.
Yeah.
It's
so I left a fellowship meeting that I had gone to for a very long time because I felt like I was being escorted away from there. And some of you know the story behind that. But years went by, and I wanted to kind of go back in, but it's been very, very difficult to get back on track because, like you said, Brandon, life happens, and I've got new priorities now. Now I'm still plugged into my to a home group, just not that one. And I don't know, for whatever reason, people leave and don't come back, or they just come back once in a while. You're right. We probably not ought to assume. So somebody asked me last year why I wasn't there, and I told them the story. I didn't mention any names. I just said I felt like it wasn't a safe place for me at the time. And they said, well, most of those people aren't even here anymore. Why don't you come back, Mm-hmm. And I've tried to do it. In fact, I've been on my way and got a call and got distracted and so forth. So there can be all sorts of reasons. Marv, what do you think about all this?
I don't know
He said, I don't know instead of I can't know.
I can't know.
Right?
Yeah.
There's so many situations.
Variables, yeah.
Variables. For the most part, to be honest with you, I don't care.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow.
But where I do care, and before the show started, you mentioned this.
Right.
You'll get people that come in for a year, 6 months, a year and a half. You get to know them. You have these, what I call intimate conversations with them. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone.
Right.
And you say to your best buddy, hey, have you seen? Nope, haven't seen them. So, hey, have you? Nope, haven't seen them. And it's not like, well, them dirty bastards, they quit coming to AA, but it is like, geez, I hope they're okay.
Hope they're all right.
Because you've had that intimate
relationship or those discussion.
And gotten involved emotionally. And so that part of it I don't care for too much.
Right. And that's where they're like, there's no warning, there's no red flags or nothing. They're just gone.
Yeah. And then the other part also you mentioned is the fact that people show up once a year to get their coin, but they won't go to meetings because they've got some sort of resentment or...
But the resentment is...
AA's watered down or whatever.
Right, right. But the resentment isn't strong enough to keep them from coming and getting their coin, though.
Yeah, they got to get their coin.
Yeah. Now, I know a guy that will come back to his home group once a year to get his coin because he lives out of town now. And he's active in his meeting up in Salem, but he'll come down here and he'll get it. That's understandable. You know. Tony, what about you? I mean, you've seen people come and go over the years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've actually been one of them this last year. But like I said, that's because of medical reasons.
Right.
But when I do go back, I feel kind of like shunned. Maybe that's going off the map a little bit.
I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, well, you haven't been here, da-da-da-da-da, what's going on? Or else they just stop talking to you. So you don't want to go back to that meeting. So you have to find new meetings because you just feel unwelcome.
Right.
Is that a valid thought?
Yeah, no, I've experienced that.
Yeah.
I've experienced that. I don't know, maybe it's because they don't know what to say.
I mean, you don't have to bring your medical records to AA.
Here's my note.
Yeah. Here's my yearly chart. I mean, I'm telling the truth. But, I mean, I don't know. That's why I haven't gone back to my home group yet.
Because of the way you were feeling?
No, the way I was treated.
Because of the way you were treated. Yeah, and that's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify. You know, I said I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I do care. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is there's people in meetings who need help.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, okay. See you later.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
Don't let the
But
door
I
hit
do
you.
care.
Yeah.
No. I wasn't saying that at all. No.
But you're not going to lose sleep over somebody that's just playing a game and...
Right.
But I do a lot of online meetings and speaker tapes.
Right.
Because that's, sometimes all I can do.
Is doing the online thing kind of... It's
not the
same. It feels
same.
safe because you don't get those connections so you might get hurt again?
No, not really. It's just what I can do at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know of people I've worked with that went the online route because it was safer for them. They felt like it was safer for whatever reason, and sometimes that's justifiable too.
No. I mean, I go to meetings when I can. Like sometimes I'll drop into the group one meeting. It's not like all the time, but
right.
I'm not comfortable going back to that specific meeting yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, did you ever enter in the 12-step world?
Okay. No.
Okay. But you've been involved in the church world.
Yeah.
Did you see people come in and kind of play tag and then...
Absolutely. The Christmas, Easter Christians. Like
right.
We used to call them that. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and I've seen it a lot in TC as well. I mean...
So, expand on that.
Well, and I understand, like, it's hard to not, when you've invested time in people and they take off, but it's like you said, if the help's there if they want it, but if they don't want it,
Right.
You know? But I can understand why people would kind of have a resentment or look, negatively towards that. But I think if you're there helping someone and your motives are pure, then, I don't think you should have to feel bad or it doesn't reflect on you at all. So,
right. Right. It's funny because the first sponsee I ever had that fired me, and I don't, do they still use that term much? I haven't heard it much.
Yeah, they do.
I fired my sponsee, or my sponsee fired me. I remember my sponsor telling me, someday that'll happen to you. You cannot take that personally. It may sting at first, but you can't let it last very long. You're just going to have to move on. I thought, that won't happen to me. No one will fire me.
Boom.
Oh, man. This guy got in my face, and he was hot, and he said, I'm done with you. And I was butthurt. I thought, how dare that guy? Doesn't he know how valuable I am in his life?
How much I mean to him.
So Brandon, as an intern out at the Teen Challenge Center, so you've alluded to it. You have watched people come into the program.
Oh yeah, right.
And they're kind of trucking along doing the thing, and then for whatever reason,
yeah. Well, even as a student, when a more senior student, then the earlier guys come in and helping them, encouraging them,
right.
Talking them out of leaving a lot of the times, and then eventually, 6 months in or something, they decide to go ahead and leave. And it's hard then when new guys come in after them to start investing more time again, because you feel like,
you feel
what's
like,
the point?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's how it is there. It's a revolving door. People leave a lot. Yeah. So it's hurt to, I felt that sting, I guess.
Sure.
When some guys left that I was kind of attached to, and it hurt, and it was hard to start investing time into other guys again. But I had to ask myself why. Like, it wasn't a reflection on me, and I can't take that personal.
Right.
And and I still love the guys. Like, he left, a couple of them had left, and if they want to come back, that'd be great.
Right.
And I still communicate with them. So
kind of speaking to your thing, Tony, if somebody leaves, we really should welcome them back.
Absolutely.
Without shunning them
right.
And just welcome them back.
Because it's hard to come back. It's a pride thing,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about when there is a relapse? It used to confuse me. I get it now, but it used to confuse me. I thought, well, this guy or gal has been coming to this meeting or this fellowship for 7 years. They've worked with people. They've helped sponsor people. They've walked through the steps with them. And then and the relapse I understood. I didn't go, well, how could they relapse? That isn't what I didn't understand, because I understand this illness. But I thought, why didn't they get back on the horse? Because everything that they were teaching was also preparing you in case that did happen to get back on the horse, and yet they didn't. And then it happened to me. It was 3 years in. I was 3 years in years ago, and I was like, wow. And there's something about shame and all that stigma and everything else that just comes piling back on top of you. You want to talk about feeling powerless. You want to walk back through the door. You really, really do, but you can't move, And so when you do, when somebody has gone back out, walks back in, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and that's one thing. I think for the most part, people are very welcoming when people come back. Don't you think, Marv? When somebody comes back?
Had that experience last night.
Aww.
Somebody came back in?
Yep.
And they were glad to see them?
I was glad.
You were glad to see them? Yeah. And that's
one thing I will say, not about the relapse deal, but
right.
When somebody's sketchy and you've invested time and kind of put yourself out there, and then they go back out and they come back and they go back out,
Bouncing ball.
One thing I noticed about me, and I'm not sure right or wrong about it
Yeah.
at first, but I'm pretty leery to approach. I mean, I might say, hey, good to see you, but to go back to that same level I was at, it takes me a little time, and I think maybe there's a lot of people like that.
I think so.
I'm just kind of cautious, and
I don't think there's anything wrong with being cautious. And every situation's a little different. You know,
but I really got to look at it to see what I'm thinking because, we got the pride and arrogance thing, and well, you went out, but I stayed in,
Right?
Exactly.
And that's childish, I know, but then that's exactly we're human beings. And
Yeah, and we all do it. I know I've been guilty of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I totally agree with Marv.
Sometimes we can get a resentment because it's like, why do they get to go out and drink, or why do they get to go out and use and I don't? But I'm still here. By golly, by George. I may be miserable, but at least I'm pouring coffee. So let's switch it up a little bit. What about people that they've never left, but they're almost like camouflaged? I mean, they blend in. I mean, the YouTube version of this show has got a picture that says, now you see me in white letters. You can see it plainly, but now you don't is camouflaged into the background. And so there are people like that it's like, you're not, somebody says, hey, it was good to see so-and-so. And you go, I didn't even know they were there. And maybe they've been there for years. Maybe you've gone through this. And, I know that I got real butthurt one time up in Sweet Home years ago. And I decided, well, I'm just not going to say anything. They don't like what I have to say. So it was the passive-aggressive thing, right? So I'll just not speak. Of course, it was killing me not to do that.
How'd that feel?
Oh, I was like, and nobody really cared. It was like, I was thinking that, that somebody will come up to you and say, gosh, Monty, what's wrong with you? Nobody did. But after a while, people kind of forgot I was even around. And I've known people like that. They'll show up and they'll never plug in. They'll never participate.
Kind of going through the motions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad for them because I think there's a lot to be gained by participation, by plugging in. Mm-hmm. But everybody's at a different place in their recovery, too. So just because somebody's new and they don't participate like you and I would participate necessarily doesn't mean they're not getting something from it, right?
Yeah.
Seeds are being planted. Mm-hmm. But what about the person that never, ever, they've been there for years and they're a wallflower?
What about that person?
What about that person?
What's a
about
wallflower?
that?
What about that?
What about that?
What's a wallflower?
I have no idea what a wallflower is.
Oh, Tony.
I know it's grew.
They blend in with
Okay.
the scenery.
They're in the background.
They're in the background.
Yeah.
We hear stories about people that first come in the rooms and they sit by the door because it's safe. It feels safe to
they
sit
might
by
want
the
to exit.
Oh, that was me my first few meetings.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I just was like,
I did that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's normal at first, but if you keep doing that, then
5 years in,
Yeah.
10 years in, and you're still sitting by the back door,
Yeah,
and
there's a
you're
problem.
never participating, and you're not a shy person. Maybe out in the real world, you're very involved. What about that person?
I hope they find fellowship.
Yeah.
You come through the doors to find fellowship. You need that. We need that. So,
But do you know that when you first come in, or do you just want the pain to stop?
No, heck no. I sit at the back of the church sometimes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to be able to get out when I first get there.
Mm-hmm.
But as you progress in your walk, your journey, I hope that people open up and you can build a relationship with others.
Right.
Because that's what this is all about. Being able to talk with people.
Bruce H., who was a co-host on this show for like 7-8 years, was very adamant. Sometimes, sorry, Bruce, but sometimes a little too much that meetings were not as valuable as I think they are. Now, we know meetings alone aren't going to keep you sober. I mean, I went to meetings 3 times a day for 3 years, and I couldn't stay sober. So just going doesn't do it. But there is something very valuable. I learned how to speak in front of people at meetings. I learned how to sit next to people for an hour and a half that may be uncomfortable, but I learned how to sit next to them anyway. I learned how to be humble and serve and participate. I mean, there's a lot of things that the meetings taught me that I wouldn't have got out of. I mean, going to church, it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I learned how to hang out with people that believed in the same God I did, but maybe didn't agree with some of the particulars.
Yeah.
And that was uncomfortable. You know, I remember reading a book called To Speak or Not to Speak about the gift of tongues that this guy gave me, just shoved in my face. So you need to read this. You know, well, I'm not sitting next to him next time. You know, so don't you think there's a lot of value in meeting attendance, Marv? What about you?
I do. I do think there's a lot of value. But one thing I was going to say about the guy or gal that you're talking about, sometimes people, and the reason I'm saying this, I've been there. Sometimes people go to meetings for years and they have years of sobriety, but their whole world gets tipped upside. Something happens.
Yeah.
And it could be extreme depression, anxiety, and of course, all of us know, you know, what goes along with that is extreme self-centered selfishness, self-pity,
right?
All that. Well, those people they're going to meetings, but they're not participating because they're unable to participate.
So maybe we're making assumptions
right
that we ought not make.
Because like Denver said a little while ago, we just don't know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a really, really good point. Maybe it's all they can do just to show up.
That's all I could do.
Yeah.
Well, and again, you got to check yourself. Have you reached out to them? You know, maybe they're waiting for somebody to engage them.
And have you ever heard about the, you know, people that will go to church with the intention to test you? I've heard this. I've heard this before. Well, we went and we sat on the other side of the building and waited with our hands folded to see if anybody would say hello.
Yeah.
And no one did. So I'm not going back.
I've been guilty of that. Just first time in a church to
Right.
see how much people interact with you and how welcome you feel. Or
But when you act like that, you kind of put that off, and it's kind of off-putting. I mean, you know, who wants to approach you when you're like, yeah, we'll see.
Grumpy cat.
Arr, grumpy cat.
Grumpy cat.
But you're right. It really is kind of those of us who've been around a while, whether it's church or Rotary Club or the Boy Scouts or AA or NA or whatever. Those of us who've been around a while, when somebody's new, we're supposed to be the hand that reaches out in some way. Now, some of us are a little bolder than others, and some of us are kind of shy. You know, I think my experience, the very first 12-step meeting I ever attended in Stockton, California, I walked into this room, and it was this long, skinny room, and it was filled with smoke. I mean, you could not see to the other side. And at the other end, there was a window that was all grown over with blackberry bushes from the outside. It had broken through the glass. There was a fan in the window that didn't work, and blackberry bushes were
Oh my God.
kind of integrated into the fan. And it was Stockton is in San Joaquin Valley, and it was summertime, so it wasn't very comfortable. It was pretty hot in there. I walked in, and this old guy is at the very first seat as I walked in, and I sat down, and he patted me on the hand. He goes, "Are you a drug addict?" And I said, and it was an AA meeting, and I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "You're in the right place."
Scary.
And he patted me on the hand, and he was rough around the edges. He had that smoker's kind of sound in his voice, but I knew I was welcome. It didn't matter to him why I was there. He welcomed me anyway. The very next day, on the other side of town, I went to another meeting, right? And I had a T-shirt with a Christian fish on the front of it. And I wasn't there more than 20 minutes, and some guy come up to me and said, "We don't want Jesus freaks in here."
Wow.
What?
So, yeah. And so I was like, and I won't name the fellowship's name, but it was a 12-step fellowship. And I was like, huh. And I think what God showed me, and at least I had the wherewithal to realize it at the time, I got both sides of the spectrum. And I got to see that, it's okay to find a home group where you feel comfortable and you feel welcome. You're not always going to get that for whatever reason. And that was just one guy out of about 20 people who were in that second meeting. So you never know. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So I went back to the first one where the old codger was, and I went there for a long time. And it was the smoke was horrible.
The fan didn't work. The briars were
I
there.
took up smoking without smoking. Yeah, and then it was right next to it. They call an Alano Club, which was a combination of different meetings and so forth. But I've never forgotten that old guy. And then years later when we're up here, I met old Norm. Remember Norm?
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't rough around the edges. He was kind of soft-spoken and gentle, but he reminded me of that guy because he was always, "I'm really glad you're here. Good to see you.
You're right where you belong."
Oh my gosh, yeah. He was very, very welcoming. And he would be the first to say, "Where you been?" It was good. So I think those of us who've been around a while, we kind of have an obligation to be the hand of whatever fellowship we're in. And welcome people back that maybe have played the "now you see me, now you don't" thing. Because we don't really know what's going on. Do we?
No.
Not really. But boy, can we judge. Well, so-and-so, they're probably back out.
Yeah, inventory.
They're
Fast.
on vacation, for crying out loud. They're in Omaha or whatever. Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts? Wow.
Nope.
I'm hoping tomorrow goes well.
Yes, let's all pray for Denver.
Yeah. So
It'll work out fine.
Yeah, so let's pray right now real fast. Heavenly Father, we just ask, Lord, that your hand of protection and peace and calm would be on Denver as he goes through teeth extraction, preparing him for a really good thing, and that's a brand new grill. And so that's going to be exciting. But be with the surgeon's hands and the whole process tomorrow, and just help him walk through this thing quickly, and knowing that you've got his back. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ooh, can I say happy birthday to my dad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just did.
Say it again.
Happy birthday, Daddy.
Too late.
I know.
How old?
Happy birthday, Belle. Happy birthday, Belle.
Come on.
Maybe almost 80, maybe older.
Wow. Maybe older.
Maybe.
80.
Maybe. Oh, and James, too. His
James?
is on the 30th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Mine's October 1st.
Happy birthday early.
That's like a whole nother month.
Closing in.
Let's celebrate them all. All right, our closing song this week is by Michael Purrington, the recovery comedian singer guy. And it is called Middle of the Herd. Here's Michael Purrington and the Messengers.
Used to think that I was special, gifted and unique. Now I know I'm just another liar, cheat, and thief. I was Mr. Isolation till it dawned on me to be a part of life instead of on the periphery. Now I'm happy as a clam, and I am free as a bird, a member in good standing in the middle of the herd, a member in good standing in the middle
Mr. Michael Purrington with his song Middle of the Herd. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man along with the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
Good guys, bad boys, we're all the same. Saved by grace is the name of the game. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Cause she's a super cat, she's super kitty, meow.
Yeah, kitty, 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 meow.